The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Welcome into another episode of Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I'm Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And here we are, episode 75.
75.
What's the topic?
This is divine timing.
Good. Good one.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite subjects.
Sorry, I was excited to get to this one.
You're like, come on, let's go. Move it. Stop talking. Yeah.
So cool. Yeah, I was excited to get to this one.
Yeah, me too.
Well, before anything from last week, before we hop into this?
I do. I have a couple of people I talked to this week that I wanted to share what they had to say. One of the girls, her name's Carrie, she left this comment. She said, this was a fun episode. That was the sloth, lust, and gluttony episode.
Okay.
She said, this was a fun episode. I love how you both can take a serious topic and make it lighthearted and relatable.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Thank
I think
you.
that's one of our favorite things to do.
Yeah.
You know, just like to keep it lighthearted and
Well, yeah, because, I mean, we're
upbeat.
kind of talking about a lot of our subject matter is not really...
Heavy, yeah.
I wouldn't say it's depressing or
No.
or ugly or... But it's maybe on the maybe not so brighter side of life.
Yeah.
But
It's real.
we're trying
it's real
to
life.
find that silver lining in there, I think, somehow.
Yeah,
Maybe.
for sure. I feel like a lot of people want to pretend like they're perfect and that they don't have any of these issues. And so I think one of the reasons why we were asked to do this show is so that we can show people that you can change these things within yourself if you admit that you have these things.
Right.
You know, if you're going to constantly be like, I don't have this problem, this isn't a problem,
Right.
then of course you're not going to be able to deal with it. But if you realize it's a problem and you deal with it, you can move on and be a happier person.
I agree.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then I have one.
That was
other.
whose?
That was
Sure.
Carrie.
Carrie. Thanks, Carrie.
And then this was from Sarah. Sarah, I did a reading for her, and she had listened to that episode of the podcast too. And she said, your philosophy on food is refreshing. I like that because it hasn't always been that way. Trust me. I have a metabolism where I can eat what I want and not gain weight. And then in parentheses, she put, I'm sorry, don't delete me. I'm sure you get that a lot, Sarah.
That's funny.
My whole family is overweight, though, so I feel that it has a lot to do with the types of foods I eat. Clean foods that come from the earth, stay on that path, and you can't go wrong.
Nice.
And that was Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you.
And that's great
totally
advice,
agree.
by the way.
It's great advice. It's hard to do, you know, and I mean, there's a lot of people that can do it, everything that they eat is fresh food, comes from the earth, but, you know, some of us need a Snickers every once in a while, and that's okay.
Because they satisfy, eh?
You know what? To me, it's like a protein bar. I'm like,
Yeah.
sweet. It has, same thing as a protein bar.
Yeah.
I joke.
All
So,
the essentials.
Yeah. So, anyways,
Cool.
that's my recap.
Well, thanks. That was a good one.
Yes.
All right. Are you ready to hop into episode 75?
Yes, let's do it.
Divine timing.
Divine timing. So, first of all, what is divine timing? It is a concept that you are exactly where you should be and that everything that happens in your life happens at the exact right time. Simply put, it means we do not have control of time and we can't make things happen on our own timetables. I think that that's probably a big struggle for a lot of people is that we really don't get that. We want to rush and have everything now and have it on our timetable. And I talk to a lot of women that, you know, are maybe in a new relationship or even some of them still looking for a relationship and they say, well, when am I going to get married? Well, here's a couple of things. First of all, the timing is completely up to you and you can change that at any time and we'll get into that, right? But a lot of times I'll say like maybe, you know, I'm seeing maybe like 2 years or so. Oh, that's too long. Mm-hmm. That's too long. Well, you haven't even met him yet.
Yeah.
So how is that too long to get married? So this is where the divine timing comes in, where we all have to kind of realize that life unfolds as it's supposed to.
Right.
It is a hard reality.
Yeah. I mean, for people that want those kind of readings, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's like a kid asking how much longer before Christmas.
Right.
You know, so when you're kind of going, I don't want to say they're novelty because, you know, they're genuinely asking about their future.
Right.
You know, what's in store for me and will I meet the right person kind of thing.
Right.
But when you're given a timeline like that, it's like a kid being told, well, you still have 4 months left.
Right.
Oh, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Really? So that's kind of hard when you're going at it like, I don't envy you in that situation,
Yeah.
having to deliver kind of those messages to people that want it now,
Yeah.
right this second, you know. When you realize, as you step back, for me, and I think you would agree, is that when you've gotten to a certain place in your life and then you look back retrospectively,
Yeah,
you realize you wouldn't have been ready
that's right.
for the now then.
That's exactly right. We don't see it that way a lot of times as humans, you know. And that is honestly the number one question that I get asked in psychic readings is when? When are these things going to happen? And I really can't tell you. I'll take a guess. I'll kind of look out and see if I can feel maybe. But the thing is that we all have complete control over this with free will. So if with our free will we decide to hold things up, we can, and we'll get into that in the episode. But so when you go to a psychic and you ask when are these things going to happen, and if they're off, it wasn't the psychic's fault because maybe that was the original timeline and then things just changed. That happens to me when I get things for myself all the time. And I try and ask, well, how long?
Right.
There's things that I have been extremely accurate with, and there's things I've been extremely off with.
Yes.
And I know that the things that I've been off with the timing is because I held myself up in this process. Right. So,
And I feel like as people, we talk a lot about growing up. We refer to maturity.
Yeah.
And that's important. And so we realize that obviously in our life, there's certain things at a certain age we're not ready for.
Right.
Right? We have to mature. We have to grow older. But I really feel like divine timing is it's like maturity and divine timing are like two threads that move through time together.
Right. Oh, yes.
In your life, in each one of our lives.
Right.
And that it's all based around the divine timing, but it's also based on two things, your maturity level and your free will.
Yes.
So you can get in the middle or the way of divine timing, even your own maturing.
Yeah.
If you really want to.
You absolutely can.
You can hold that up.
Right. You absolutely can. The really one thing that when I did this research I liked that I saw was that the universe is helping you manifest your dreams and your goals. Mm-hmm. So if you let the universe do its job with the divine timing, it will take you to your goals. Mm-hmm. But so many people don't feel like it's happening fast enough, or they're not worthy of, whatever. Like, honestly, I still am like, how am I worthy of these abilities? Right. I still trip on that. Right. So it's hard for people to believe that they can be a success when they don't even understand how things happen to them in the first place,
Sure.
So then they stop. They just stop because they don't think that they're worthy or whatever it is. But that's where success comes in, is that if you keep going, you keep growing, you keep letting the divine timing come in.
Yes.
Another thing that I saw was failure is delayed success. I don't know whose quote that was. It didn't say, but I thought that was a great quote.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
It is, because really there is divine timing for everything, and there's lessons and everything. Like, we talk a lot about, I'm a Disney fan and Walt Disney. Mm-hmm. And Walt Disney had submitted Disneyland to investors a few hundred times before he actually found somebody to invest. Yep. Now, in this time, a few things happened. One of the things is that he did not give up. Nope. He kept going with his dreams no matter what people told him, because people told him he was crazy. You're going to build a theme park
and
after
almost
a mouse.
Went broke.
Yeah.
As a result of it.
He spent everything that he had, and so many other people's money, Mm-hmm. But he kept going and he kept going. And then you have to look at, another reason why it happened that way was because of divine timing. Whatever it was that needed to happen for him and his life and for Disney, that's why it happened when it did. It couldn't have happened at try 1 or 2. those tries wouldn't have been good enough.
Right.
You know, maybe it was because this one where he finally submitted his final plans, this was it. This
Right.
was the one, and the universe went, yeah,
Or
that's
this
it.
was also the time where it would be most embraced by
Yeah.
society and become this beloved sort of sentimental thing for a lot of people.
For sure. Whatever it was, the timing was the way it was supposed to be.
Right.
And we can learn a lot from that
agree.
because the failures, you know, if you give up, if you would have given up on that one right before this one, you know, the one that did it, you just don't know. You have to keep going, you know. Divine timing will get you there. You're just not in control of that, you know.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. Divine timing is always happening. It never stops. Like, even those little things that we think are no big deal, that they don't mean anything, like, you know, maybe we feel like we need to go somewhere at a certain time. There is divine timing behind those,
Right.
you know. We did an episode, I can't remember what number it was, for the Borderline 12, the mass shooting. And if you haven't listened to that episode, that is a great example of divine timing, because I actually did a reading for a girl who was best friends with one of the girls that was shot. But the way that she was brought to me was all because we listened, all because the universe was telling us what to do, and we listened to it, and because they were able to, in the right time, put us both in this place.
Right.
We were able to find each other,
Yeah.
you know? So go back and listen to that one if you haven't, because
Yeah.
it definitely gets into a lot of that.
Yeah, it's funny. That is really true. And it for me, like, in like my personal life or my career or whatever what I'm doing, I can see it. It takes me getting further away in order for me to see it. As long as I don't give up, like, I feel like as soon as you put your desire out there,
Right.
okay, to the universe, as soon as you express, like, and they know that it's pure, it's not like you want to go hurt
Right.
something or somebody, you just want to create, or you want to be content
Yeah.
and happy, but you would like a particular surrounding or something to do. Once that desire is put out there, to put it kind of in layman's terms, I feel like they're going, okay, we got you.
Yeah, we got this.
We got your back. But what this is going to require is you not to give up.
Right. And a lot of work in the process.
Yes, we're not just going to hand you things. Now, we
Right.
look at a lot of people in this world and we go, why does it seem like somebody's got it so much easier? Things come to them so much easier. Well, that may very well be. Maybe in a previous life, they didn't have it so much easier.
Yeah.
And they paid a lot of dues. Maybe you're just seeing the outward
Right.
and they've really worked really hard and struggled.
Yeah.
And people just didn't know that. Like, take, for instance, musical bands or groups. You hear a lot of this phrase of one-hit wonders, where maybe a lot of these groups actually worked a long time,
Right.
but nobody really knew that.
Right. Exactly.
So to them, it's just a sensation.
Right.
But if you can get further enough away on this path to look down, then you'll see
Yeah.
the divine timing and the way that it's working.
Yes.
But if you just say, and throw up your hands and I'm done, you're never going to get that.
Right. Yes. You make
That
a
perspective.
very good point. You have to have the faith
Yeah.
that it's going to take you somewhere. And I didn't really have that for most of my life. I don't think you go with things and whatever, but the faith of just surrendering and letting it happen, I didn't have until this experience, until the becoming a psychic and all of that, because that changed my perception of things in bits and pieces. Like, when I found out that I was a psychic and started having these abilities, I wanted it all right now. I wanted to know it all. Give it to me. You can't do it like that. You have to learn, just like anything else. It would be like taking Spanish 2 before you took Spanish 1.
Right.
You have to take your time and go down this path. And
Yes.
even still, I'm still learning, and I'm still not, there's still things I'm not able to do well. But I'm growing, and with the divine timing and letting it do what it's supposed to do, it's taking me there. But I I've said this to you many times. We've had this conversation that I wish I would have known about my abilities earlier in my life. But now, looking back in retrospect, I see why that wouldn't have been a good idea.
You may have just disregarded them.
Well, I knew that I had something.
Some level, right.
Right. And I knew with animals that I could do that, but I didn't really put two and two together, you know? But I wasn't mature enough. That's really what it was, is I didn't know how to handle these as it was at the age that it started. And I was like 40 when this started.
Yeah.
If it would have started at 20 when I wasn't in a good place in my life, there's no way.
Right.
I had to be in a good place. And when I say that, like, even if the beginning of our relationship was hard, it was rocky, this couldn't have come in at the beginning of our relationship. It had to come in when our relationship was stable, when we were happy, because you had to accept what I could do, and you had to come on board with it, and all of this stuff had to fit together.
Yeah.
So you can see how, like, it does. It just goes. You go with the flow.
It does.
You know?
And even more so now. It's like I didn't even realize back then that I was sort of, meaning 25 years ago, that I was sort of manifesting all this.
Right.
I didn't realize that's what I was doing.
Right.
I do now. And the one example I can think of is I was in a band called Contradiction, and that was over, and I was just doing my own thing, and I reached out to Milo. And
The current drummer of Gypsy Brown.
Yes, and he at the time was the only guy I knew that had a little 4-track recorder and knew how to use it. I didn't know how to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, I wasn't really interested in it. But anyway, so I called him up and I said, I have a couple songs. And I knew that he's the best that I knew besides Rob, who was in Contradiction. But there was some span there that I didn't really talk to those guys after for a while. Or we didn't play music. I wouldn't say talk, but we didn't play music together. So I went to Milo's and I did this like 2 or 3 songs with him over like a day or two period. And I remember saying to him, and it didn't dawn on me until later, but I remember saying to him at the end, because I was sort of like bummed, like, oh, this is over now. Like I got to play with a really great musician, and now it's over.
Yeah.
But I said something into the effect of like, I'm going to be back for you when I have something substantial to show you.
Yeah.
And that was 30 years, 20 years later, 30 years later. And then after Contradiction, I joined with Tom in Flush. And after that ended, him and I didn't play music together for like 12 years. So when we reconnected, I thought, well, God, of all people to sort of start playing music again, somebody you've already kind of gone down this road with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You would almost think
sure.
most people would go, I'm going to try something different.
Yeah.
But you know what? It was like putting on an old pair of jeans, like familiar.
Yeah, familiar.
Mm-hmm. From the moment that, and it started with him saying, it's my wife's birthday party. Would you be willing to play like a Flush song acoustically? Come to this party and sit with me and do it. I was like, yeah, sure, you know. So we did that, and that kind of spawned what would then become this.
Yeah.
I think because he was playing with some other people, and I was playing with him with some other people, and then we just sort of combined the two.
Yeah.
And, but so when it came time for a drummer change, I had said to him months before our drummer left that I feel like he's not the guy. He's not the one that's going to be in here for the rest of the time. And I said, I don't know why. I'm just telling you this. I'm not kicking anybody out or anything. I'm just feeling this.
You said this to Tom?
Yeah. I said, I just don't feel like he's the one that's going to be in here forever.
Right.
I said, there's going to be people that are, this is when we were a 4-piece and Tom was playing bass. And so I said, I feel like people are going to get on and get off. And that's exactly what's happened. So when it came time for the drummer, I kept hearing Milo.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, Milo's way more. I mean, this is 30 years later. He's doing other stuff. He's pretty established in kind of the hired gun arena as far as getting gigs and being able to play with more high profile people. So he's probably not interested in
Right.
this. But lo and behold, and what the message that kept jumping out to me was that the word gypsy is in a group that he plays with, a cover band of Fleetwood Mac that he plays with.
Right.
And it's also, that word is in our band.
Right.
So I was like,
There's
if
a
that's
lot of
not
things, yeah.
if that's not an obvious sign to go call this person
Right.
that you've known a long time, that was the divine timing.
Yeah.
That was like, I said I was coming back.
Right.
I just didn't know when.
Right.
And I didn't even know I really meant it.
And those
But
are
I
the trippy things.
I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
You know, it was that was like a boom.
And something, while you were saying this, that I felt the need to point out is that it was not just divine timing for you and Milo, but everybody else in this band as well.
Yes.
And something else is that almost everybody in this band has lost somebody tragically,
Yes.
or is very close to somebody like you're close to me, that has, well, you also have your own losses too, but they've lost somebody tragically. For example, the bass player is the cousin of one of the guys, or his wife's the cousin of one of the guys that was shot in the Borderline shooting. These people are now on the other side working for you. They're working for this band. They put this super group together and they're working to make this happen for you.
But also because, but that's a great point, but also because what I said earlier is that they know our desires.
Yeah.
And so we've put that out there. And I remember the bass player, Rich, saying to me, before you contacted me, I was at a kind of a real low point, feeling like, I wonder if I'll ever find another group that is really good, like that I can mesh and gel with.
Right.
And I think he meshes and gels pretty damn good.
Yeah, absolutely. But for each of them,
Yeah.
you know, there's divine timing in their lives. It wouldn't have been the right time for most of them. So it all had to come together like that. And it can be very frustrating when you're trying to put something together and like for you, you feel the energy. You feel
Yeah.
like, I need this. Let's keep going. Let's move. Let's
Right.
move. Let's move. And you want to move all the time.
Right.
But unfortunately, it's not your timing.
Yeah, the patience has
Yeah.
to come into play along with the
Yes.
faith. It's patience and faith, and
Yes.
that's what, you know, when they are saying to me, or the other side, and my spirit guides, my loved ones, the angels, they're saying, we got you.
Right.
We know what it is you're shooting for.
Right.
Now, any one of these guys, including yourself, could say, I'm
Yep.
done.
Free will.
And then that changes the whole plan.
Yep.
But if you don't do that, and goes with anything, they're going to give you what you want, but in the right time.
Yes.
In the divine time.
Yes.
Not exactly. So they're saying, don't give up,
Right.
keep the faith,
Yep.
but practice patience.
That is on my list of things that you need to do for divine timing. That is the number one, is practice patience.
Yes.
And that is a very hard human concept for us to understand. Patience. It is very hard because even I feel like I'm patient, and then other times I realize no.
Right. Well, and you know, for this, like for me in this sense, because it's this in my life, you know, 49 years old, I'm like, yeah, I'd like to get going.
Yeah, exactly.
While I can still move a little bit, because I don't want to be up there like, you know, looking like Axl Rose in a wheelchair with my legs up and a guitar in my lap.
No, nobody wants that. Okay, so let's see. You've talked a lot about patience, and so I want to flip to there so we can continue on with that. But there are 5 universal rules of divine timing, okay? And patience is number 1.
Yes.
Okay. Also, don't get attached to time. Let go of the past or the way things used to be, and just go from today. Take today one day at a time. Detach from the outcome. Man, that is the most important thing, I think, besides patience, because we all want to try and predict what the outcome is going to be. Whatever it is that we're trying to do in our life, we want...
Or how it will be.
Right, exactly. And you really can't. It's really, even for a psychic, it's really, really hard to do, you know?
Yeah.
But one of the things that I have found with this is that if I can just say, and I do this every day, I know that where you're taking me is where I'm supposed to be going. So I am just going to go with whatever you guys throw at me. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to do what I feel I need to do. And I'm just going to let you guys take me, and I'm detaching from the whole thing.
Right.
And there are some things in my life that's easier to do with. Yeah. And there are some other things that are really hard. But really, when we can grasp that concept of just letting it go and surrendering to it, and, you know.
It is. It's so hard because I think my biggest fear about this is, I'll totally be counteracting what I just said or however I want to say that. But, like, I'm afraid that they're going to be like, wait, you didn't hear what I was dreaming about, you know, because I find myself and the outcome isn't what I expected.
Right.
They took me somewhere completely different. Like I picture myself like the guy in Office Space that's in the basement with the red stapler.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That. Uh-huh.
And just going, are you kidding me?
Right.
This is where I asked to be.
Well, yeah. And that happens because
that's faith, though.
It is faith.
Yeah.
But I asked for like 2 years, I was asking to get out of pet sitting. You know, and it had to happen, and it's divine timing.
Yeah.
But you know what came with it? The Rona.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you know, yeah, sometimes you end up in the basement with the stapler, but sometimes that's the best place for you to be.
You know what? Yeah, I would say in this situation, I thought maybe with the momentum that, at least for me, what the band was doing before that hit, I got a little bit worried, like, oh, yeah, I guess it's all over now. But actually, no, that just made us redirect our focus into really what's kind of most important, and that is we need to record because people need to hear this.
And that was divine timing as well. And that is another great example because you guys we want to play live. And that was a great idea. Like, I couldn't wait for you guys to play live. However, I knew that wasn't what you were supposed to be doing. Right. But I'm not going to get involved in band stuff, you know? So you guys, with the Corona, you know, you figured it out. Yeah. You need to record. And sometimes these things happen to push us where we need to go. Yep. And so we look at these situations, and it's hard to say, okay, well, you guys didn't bring the Rona on. Like, the coronavirus didn't happen because you needed to get out of pet sitting and your band needed to record. Does that make sense?
There's a lesson for everybody.
There's a lesson for everybody here. But the thing is, something that I'm learning, and it is kind of trippy, is that one of the ways I've started looking at life is like a simulation or a video game. Mm-hmm. And you have to look at it from your own angle, not from anybody else's, because everybody else is playing their own video game and has their own challenges and is in their own simulation. Right. This is a trippy, that's what I wanted to do the episode on when I said I couldn't remember earlier. Life as a simulation or video game type. Okay. Because I really have learned a lot about that. And if you can focus not on like, well, that wouldn't make sense that the Rona happened so you guys could do these things. Well, no, it wouldn't. But it makes sense in the divine timing of our lives. Right. We needed something to push us in that direction. And so this lined up with that.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah. One of the things I think that people forget in the divine timing is that it doesn't just include little things. Big things. It includes little things. It includes everything that happens to you every day is in that divine timing, not just the big things. So,
yeah, I agree.
Let's see. So third on this list of 5 universal rules of divine timing is stop trying to force matters or pressure people because that doesn't work. Right. Forcing, we've all tried that. Yep. Whatever your story is, you know that at some point in your life you had some issue that you were trying to force. Yeah. I have been in relationships that I had tried to force, and the universe was like, oh, no. You know, we'll appease you and let you have what you want for a little while, but then we're moving on our way, and you have to keep moving. Right. And so a lot of times that's what happens, and that's why people think like they get into a relationship and they're like, well, I have it, so I should keep working towards it. But, like, if you feel the universe is not, like, that's not happening, don't force it because it's just not meant to be. And the right thing will come along.
Yeah, I forced something
we all
way
did.
too long.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But, no, you're right. It's true. It will guide you if you allow it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does feel like you're putting on a blindfold, standing on the edge of a cliff, and just stepping off.
Yes. Absolutely.
As far as the faith that divine timing is going to take you exactly where it is that your heart wants to be. But I can look back and go, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
since 2011, I have gotten everything I've asked for.
Yeah, me too.
You know, everything. All the way down to, okay, well, hey, I'm divorced now, and which means I share a child with my ex-wife, so I only had the child half the week. So what am I going to do with half my time now?
Yeah.
And that's when the thought was, maybe you should play some music.
Yeah.
And so many other things with that, all the stuff I explained before, but even like thinking about my family and my child and going, I just want to find somebody that will love us and treat us good and treat her like it's her own.
Right.
And it's almost pretty much that.
Right.
Now it's become that. It's just, it's mind-boggling.
I want to point out, because we said something there that it's very important to show that, yes, we have gotten everything we want. When we say that, it doesn't mean there wasn't struggles. We have struggled. We have fought. We have both been through some seriously traumatic times over the last 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
With and without each other.
Yeah.
So getting the things that we wanted did not come without struggle.
They're just wants. They're needs, too. These were things that well, for my own sanity and well-being, I think I needed them.
Yes, absolutely.
I didn't need them like air or water or sunlight, but...
And the universe knows what you need, even if you think you need something else.
Right.
When you and I started dating, it felt right, but at the same time, everything just didn't make sense. Nothing about it made sense. And so I kept wondering, well, why is this happening? And I kept being pushed in your direction and pushed. No matter how much it didn't make sense, I was still pushed. And finally, it did make sense because I needed to be with somebody that would allow me to be me.
Yeah.
And everybody else.
Likewise.
Yeah. So the universe was pushing me in that direction. So I had to go that way. And once you surrender and you just go, even if you're like, what? This makes no sense. Sometimes the best thing that you can do, actually all the time, is just go with it. Just let it play out,
I agree.
And then when you do, those things happen to you. I wanted out of my first marriage, and we were both just miserable, whether we wanted to admit it or not. We were both miserable, and we both needed a new start to life. But we just I don't think either one of us knew how to do that. And I kept asking, give us a way out, please. There needs to be a way out. And you know what happened? My grandmother got sick, and I came out here to take care of her. And if my grandma would have gotten sick a year earlier, I would not have moved back here to take care of her.
Right.
It had to happen the way that it did and the timing that it did. She helped me to get out of that marriage and get into this one so that I could have the life that I wanted to, because there's no way that he would have been able to live the life that we have, my first husband. And this is what I needed. Yeah. So the universe really will. It will give you what you need. It will give you what you ask for, but you have to give it the time. Yeah. And that is hard.
It is. And especially in this day and age, when finance is always probably up front in our minds. So when you're thinking about how am I going to get out of this and how am I going to survive on my own, I think when you do meet somebody else that you can rely on, you can lean on a little bit, it makes life a little more comfortable. And it also made me realize I don't have to go running back out of fear of financial failure. I don't have to go back to something that was not good. Right. Not good.
I think that that's a big part of the reason why a lot of people stay in a bad marriage or in a bad situation is finances. Because that was, for me, I was like, how am I going to afford to live on my own? Yeah. And I lived in Las Vegas where it was, things there like 1/3 the price of what, I mean, it's ridiculous here. So I wasn't even thinking about moving back here, how I would afford here, but it just happened. I asked for it and it happened, but it was a miserable couple of years. I was miserable, absolutely, but I came through it and I fought through it. And I think that a lot of people in the middle, sometimes I actually have A client that I love very much, and she's in this stage. She doesn't know whether to move forward or go backwards. Do I move on from him or do I stay with him and move backwards?
Right.
Because she's in that uncomfortable zone where just nothing seems to be right and she's resisting this change.
Yeah.
But once she goes with that change, then it'll get better. But
Yeah.
it doesn't go from A to C without B.
No.
It just doesn't. You have to go through it to get to the end result.
You do.
And it's tough.
Yeah.
That's actually the last one on this list of the 5 universal rules of divine timing is get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I've never heard something more true.
That's tough.
It's very,
but it's
very
true.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. In one way or another, I think that since we decided to make these changes in our life, we've been uncomfortable with something, with some form of change, because
Yeah.
it is hard.
Yeah.
But you get there, and then you look back and you're like, whoa, look at how far I've come. You know?
Yeah. You're always going to have something in your life, I think, that will make you a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. Oh,
So-
absolutely.
You have to sort of embrace that. It's like the yin and yang.
Right. Exactly. Let's see. You kind of mentioned this, but I want to talk about it for a second. Is your manifestations should be aligned with your life's purpose. Okay, so life is about learning and developing, and every day brings new opportunities for growth. So you can't expect to manifest things that are just really, really, really out of reach. You have to manifest things that are for the greater good of yourself, of your family,
Right.
of the situation, of
Right.
whatever you're working towards.
Right.
You know, like, I am not going to sit here and try and manifest winning the lottery, because that's not my path.
No, it's not about travertine tile and
No.
gold faucets.
No, it's not. It's not. I'm trying to manifest a life for my family and help people in the meantime. And you have to have those pure intentions for the universe to help you manifest those things.
Yeah.
So if you have something that, you know, you're trying to manifest and, you know, it's been a long time and you're like, well, the divine timing isn't even working here. Well, re-examine it, because it's probably not something that's,
Right.
you know, you're probably
And who are
forcing
you to
something.
say what the divine timing
Right,
is?
exactly. And so you have to be aligned with the universe and,
Yeah.
and where you're going with this,
Right.
you know. And really, like, this is another one too. Will be able to notice that there are things that have happened in your life that you get through them and then they come back to you. It's the same lesson.
Yeah.
It's, you know, for a lot of people, maybe I've had money problems. Are you going to spend money the way that you used to? Are you going to rack your credit cards up now that your debt's paid off? What are you going to do with it? These tests keep coming back to you until you show the universe that you've learned. So if things aren't changing for you, like I hear from a lot of women, like that they keep attracting the same kind of men. It's probably because the universe is trying to get you to understand that you deserve way more than what you're attracting, but you're attracting it because that's what you're putting out.
Yeah.
So you have to change that, and then something new will come to you. But it's really hard to see that. So in those life lessons, you have to look at what comes back to you. You know, what those lessons that keep coming back, and then change the way that you do them so that they stop coming back and you can move on, and divine timing can continue moving on as
Right.
well. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I've had points in my life where I'm like, oh, it's never going to get any better than this. This is the pinnacle.
Right.
You know, and house, kid, the wife, you know, or, you know, the band, or what. And then things change or end, and you think it's the end of everything.
Yeah.
I've been given a whole second set of cards that are by far better than the first set I was given.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
On a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Meaning marriage, music, even my art, all that. It's like a second chance or second hand dealt because I expressed to the universe my desire
Right.
that in order for me to be happy. So what I'm trying to do is manifest something that will be beneficial for me and my family, that will keep my mind busy and healthy throughout my life,
Right.
at making something that's creative that I can share.
Right. For sure.
But hopefully be able to, you know,
Right.
support like we've been doing and continue to do that. That's So I'm trying to I'm not thinking about, I want that mansion on
No.
that street in that city.
No.
I'm not thinking that.
No. That's not what we're here for.
No, I'm
Not
thinking
at all.
about, how can I move you?
Right. And I think once you start seeing these things, the universe stuff, it brings you down to that level where those things aren't as important like the expensive things. You start to just become comfortable with being comfortable.
Yeah.
You don't need those, ridiculous things.
Or being comfortable with being uncomfortable to a degree.
That's exactly right. Something that I know some of our listeners know this, but maybe not everybody, is that, Danny and I have been together almost 8 years. And before this, when I was 18, we knew each other back then because he was friends with my ex-husband. And so we reconnected that through online dating. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we talk about what it would have been like if when we met when I was 18, if we would have been in a relationship then, if we would have known and been in a relationship then, or if they would have told us you guys are going to be together when you get older, would we have tried to change that? And it's hard to see when you look at things like that, like, man, I could have just been with you earlier and not have wasted all those years. But those years weren't wasted.
No.
They weren't wasted at all, because first of all, you have a beautiful daughter that came out of your marriage, and
who you treat
thank you.
very well, I will say.
But we both had to go through what we went through in our first marriages and in those lives. And so if we would have tried to have a relationship when I was 18, it wouldn't have worked for us. We were different people.
Yeah.
It works for us now, but it definitely wouldn't have worked then.
No.
So, but for the average person that maybe doesn't have this connection or doesn't think like us, they may beat themselves up for like, oh, I wasted all those years with my ex. And no, don't look at it that way. There's a reason for everything, and all these people that are put into your life are our exes, your exes, everybody we're talking to. These are your soul family, so you're all learning lessons together too.
Yeah.
So nothing is ever wasted.
Yeah, I don't think you would have probably liked me very much at that point, and then that
We
would
were
have
so
ruined my
different then.
chances. The second meeting, you know what I mean?
Right, for
if there was
sure.
a second meeting,
Right.
yeah, I don't. Somewhere down the road, if it didn't work out the first time,
Yeah.
I think it wouldn't have helped me a second time. So this way, I had matured, and enough divine timing had moved through this space
Right.
for me to get to a place where I was starting to. I had been through some things, and searched my own soul.
Yeah.
And reasons for my existence and why I'm here and what I'm supposed to do while I'm here. Mm-hmm. And some of those things caused problems in my marriage, my first marriage. So, but that's where the struggle was like, I can't conform anymore.
Right. Exactly.
I can't just fall in line. That's not me. Mm-mm. And it never was me. And I think that's part of the reason why I was such a, maybe hard to handle with my parents growing up, and
You just wanted to be you. That's all.
I just was. I don't know how to say it, but I just didn't want to fall in line.
Right.
And that pressure of going, I've got to get to a place where I can be me, and then find somebody that will allow me to be me.
Right. Exactly.
And then, in turn, I have somebody that I will allow to be them.
Right.
So. And that's the same essence of the way that we raise Marina, is
Right.
that we want you to think for yourself.
Yeah, just be you. For
have your thoughts, your feelings, your ideas,
Yep.
your opinions,
Yeah, for sure. We don't push our beliefs on her. We just want her to build her own beliefs and, her own thought process. It's very important. And to be that person. And it's important to be with somebody that gets you, that understands the person that you really are, and you're not trying to conform to somebody else's ideals, because I think a lot of people do that in relationships because they don't want to be alone, and so they become this other person's ideal, and that's not who they are, and then they just lose who
yourself.
you are.
Yeah.
And I think that I always knew who I was. I've always been attracted to psychic stuff and hippie stuff and all that, but I never felt comfortable that anybody would let me have that kind of lifestyle, you know? And in my first marriage, I wouldn't have been able to. And in any other relationships, I wouldn't have been able to. But the divine timing now brought me somebody that will allow me to be myself. And when I say off the wall shit, doesn't look at me like I'm crazy. Goes, that's a great idea. That's what you got to find. That's, you know, that's what the universe wants everybody to have. And so if they're trying to force you out of a relationship and you feel like it's supposed to be ending, it's probably because they want to bring you that match, that what some people may call a twin flame, you know, that representation of yourself or whatever. But you got to let the universe do it. And if you just stay stuck and you don't, you know, let it push you, how are you ever going to know, you know?
If you stay in the burning building, you're going to burn.
Right. And I'm not saying the grass is always greener, because it's not. But you should always listen to the universe. Always listen to your intuition and the signs. And before we finish, let's talk about that. Because the last thing on here was how to help the universe help you. Remember Jerry Maguire? Help me help you.
Yeah.
I hear that all the time. My mom says that all the time. Help me help you. First of all, ask for signs. People don't realize you can ask for signs. You can ask for specific signs. Now, sometimes they won't be able to give you exactly what you want. But like if I need a sign from my dad, I might say, give me a Billy Joel song, because what's the other, Everclear? Is that? Yeah. Yeah, those two, we have a lot of songs. So sometimes I'm just like, just throw me a song from anyone. It doesn't have to be a specific song, because that's asking really, really specific.
Right.
So you can, you know, try and do those things as well. Set your own signs.
Right.
But that is really the number one way that they try and get through to us, is by giving us signs of, you know, which way to go.
And if you, to kind of put an analogy on it, that's like you signing the contract, right? They're not going to do anything and force anything on you.
Right, for sure.
But when you're saying, show me a sign, they're saying they're willing.
Right.
They're ready.
Right.
So now we will give them what they're asking for. But when you ask, you have to also pay attention.
Yes. Something about the signs, too, is that they usually start off pretty easy. And then as you learn how to interpret them, they will give you more and more and more complex signs. So go with that. If you're starting to feel like you're seeing, whoa, this is a sign. They will start to really throw some stuff at you. And it gets crazy. So go with it. Embrace change. We talked about that a little bit, but it is really hard. But just know that usually change, really, it always gets us where we need to go. And that's better.
And it's inevitable.
Yeah,
I mean, everything around us changes from the day it starts till the day it ends.
And it is scary, yeah. But we can do it. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to embrace it.
That's part of the experience.
Yep. Follow your intuition. Listen to yourself. You have a higher self that talks to you.
Yep.
One of the ways that I know the difference between whether it's the other side talking to me or my higher self is when the other side talks to me, it will come in as you, and when it's my higher self, it will be I. So it's a good way to kind of differentiate if that's your intuition or the other side.
That's a good way to tell, yeah.
Meditate and focus inward. Focus on the positive. Focus on, you know, not necessarily the end result where you want to go, but where you're going from here.
Right.
Seek the truth. That's always important, really. And let's see. And have faith. Did we talk about that one already?
Yep.
Have faith.
And patience.
Yes, patience. Yeah. Those are all things that you definitely have to learn. They don't happen overnight. You can't just expect to be an impatient person one day and like Mother Teresa the next.
Right.
There's a process, and none of us are perfect. So you always kind of fall off that patience wagon too. But you can get yourself right back on and get moving again.
Sure.
You know?
I mean, we're human.
Yes.
We aren't divine here.
Right.
When we go there, we're back reconnected to, you know, right next to the source, essentially.
Yeah.
In layman's terms. But here we're human.
Yeah.
It's lessons. So we're not perfect. We're infallible.
Right.
We're going to make mistakes.
And bad things are going to happen.
And bad things are going to happen. They happen to good people and they happen to bad people.
And they happen in divine timing.
They do. So, you know, we just have to, like you said, embrace a little bit of that uncomfortableness, give ourselves a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
And understanding that we are human and we do make mistakes.
Right.
And most of our mistakes are based off emotion.
Yeah.
Probably, you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
So
sure.
it's a reactionary thing from emotion. But
Yeah.
if you're willing to take a look at yourself and admit those things, and maybe try to right some wrongs that you've done, well, that's going to help you.
Yeah,
For sure.
absolutely.
But the patience is and the faith is probably at the top, but all those things are so important because how do you know? How do you know what if you're on the right track and if you're going the way that we say that they can tell you to go, based on our beliefs, and this is a lot of people believe this, and some strange things have happened over the last 8 years for me to go, wow, I can't ignore this.
Yeah,
You know,
no.
this is all
Yeah.
things that came from my desires.
Right.
You
For
know?
sure, yeah.
And not of monetary or tangible necessarily.
Right.
It's of happiness, inner peace.
Exactly.
You know, I want to live this life trying to be open to be educated and taught anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to try to love my neighbor the best that I possibly can.
Right.
And I want to try to take as many people on this journey that I see coming that I know is coming.
Yeah.
You know, I want to take as many with me that I can.
And that's a very selfless thing, and that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to, you know, bring people along on our journey and help other people, and it's not always easy, you know. I talk a lot about that one of my goals in life is to write a book, but I never really knew what the book was supposed to be about. Like, I always told people, I'm going to write a book. Oh, yeah, what's it going to be about? No clue. I'm starting to understand more why this had to wait until I was older and I couldn't write my books at, 20 or 30 years old, because the things that are going to be in these books are happening to me now. They're the things that are going to show people how divine timing happens, how manifestation happens, how something like losing my mother, that was the worst thing that's happened in my life, has brought me to the best place in my life because she has been the best guide that I could have imagined.
Oh, the lights are twinkling.
Are they? Yeah, there she is.
It's true. And
Yeah.
she's aware, of how she maybe shorted you on some things here.
Yeah.
So she's like fast tracked there to get to, in a sense, to pay restitution for what you missed out on.
Right. But I had to go through some of the worst years of my life, what I'm hoping are the worst years of my life, and then I'll never have to go through something like that again, because losing her was horrible. And then my divorce, and then there's been other things,
Right.
And a lot of these things have made me want to quit. I wanted to quit after she died. Many times I just wanted to give up.
Yeah.
But I realize now that everything that happened, especially between when she died and now, it all had to happen exactly the way that it did.
Right.
Exactly. And that's what I'm hoping that in my books that I'll be able to show people, so that they understand that their life is much more than just going to work every single day and not living and enjoying life.
Yeah.
You got to live and enjoy life. That's what they want from us. That's what they're trying to help us with.
Exactly.
And here come the tears. Always. But I had my tissues.
Good job.
Yeah. Ooh, I could talk about this all day, but I'm tired and we're out of time.
It is. It's a really good one, and it's
Yeah.
one that breaks off into a lot of facets again.
Oh,
But
yeah.
If you notice so much about our world and our own individual makeup and our universe is all these little webs that break off into things, whether it's in our minds, in our brains, in our nerves, or it's the way the stars and the galaxies are connected, and the way that wires and computers work. They all break off into these extra pieces.
Yep.
And these are little rooms that within us that we have to keep clean.
Yes.
We got to go in there once in a while, and it's a dark, scary closet. Don't like that one so much, but I'm going to go in there and sweep it out.
You got to clean it out.
And that's all it is. And sometimes it feels like it's a chore to get up in the day
Yeah,
throughout your day sometimes and do that.
for sure.
But it will make you feel better, just like how you feel better after you've cleaned your house.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. It's the soul cleaning.
You might feel a little tired, but you feel better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
For sure.
but that was cool.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, good job.
Well, before we say goodbye, would you like to share your page?
Yeah, let's do it. So my website is SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. You can find everything about me and about our show there. If you'd like to email us for the show, our email is spiritualjoneses@gmail.com. We love your emails. We love your iTunes reviews. And we are now on Amazon Podcast, which is new, too. So, yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. And you, sir?
Yes, djonesartcollection.com on the web and at djonesartcollection Instagram and Facebook for my art, and the page is up, store is up, so orders are there and ready
Yay.
to be placed and filled and shipped.
Yay.
And then the music, gypsybrown.com for the web, at Gypsy Brown Music for Instagram, at Gypsy Brown Band for Facebook, and we're plugging along, still recording. We have started the mixing process. Mr. John Baff is helping us with that. It's starting us out, and we'll be doing some more down the road here pretty soon.
Yay.
So we're getting closer.
Very exciting.
I don't have any definitive time, but it's coming along, and I'm trying to share pictures so people know it's happening. And
Yeah.
once all this coronavirus is over, we'll have be ready to play these songs live.
Yeah, I can't wait.
But people will have heard them by then.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Me too.
Well, we hope everybody got something out of this one this week.
Yeah, we do.
I did.
I did too.
I like it's a good topic, even though it's like deep. I like
Yeah.
it's a good feeling.
It
one.
is.
I feel like
yeah.
the energies.
It makes you realize your life has a deeper meaning.
Yeah, it really does. It's more to this meets the eye. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well, everybody have a great week.